dive in. I mean, we could make our own, but that wouldn't be the same. All right, so today is the 24th. We are starting our chapter on angles. Now, I want to help us kind of set up our attitude about the coming unit. So, I want to congratulate you guys, say good job, pat you on the back, whatever else, for surviving our really dense unit on algebra. We've done a lot of algebra, from working with expressions and how we made equivalent expressions, up to how we turn those into equations, up to how we turn those into inequalities, and how to solve all of those things. So now we are completely shifting gears. We are moving from the algebra side of math into the geometric side of math. And the nice thing about geometry that helps a lot of people is that it is more visual. So one of the other things, sorry, this is like a string bet where you do things multiple times. You're also going to need a protractor, so grab one of these if you don't have one yet. Yeah, you can get some for your neighbors if you like. Please be careful. These break very easy.
Yeah, I already kind of broke them.
Many of them are taped. Yeah, many of them are already taped, so please be careful. Oh, like some plastic reinforcement. Some of them don't have a gap. So that's why it's a view through. You can see through it, and it has that gap, so you could see your line in case your line was too light that you couldn't see through the orange. So the first thing we're going to do is imagine that we do not have these protractors, and that protractors don't exist. Back in the day of Pythagoras and all these early mathematicians, they had very, very basic tools. But one thing they had was something to write with and something to write on, which is, if you have that Post-it that I told you might want to grab, if we are asked to compare angle 1 to angle 2, and protractors don't exist, man, protractors don't exist. I can't measure the angle. I can't figure out how big it is. What do you mean?
I'm just making sure we're not doing the edge.
We're doing this up here before we get to the before protractors.
Those are like straight. You just put a pencil and then get whatever they used back then and draw that.
Ooh, so wait, are you saying transfer angle 1 onto our own drawing or something like that?
So once you see it and you're trying to make it, you like get a straight object and then draw it.
So if you have your Post-it, or if you don't, I would advise getting one. Take one of your edges and line it straight on the bottom of your angle. Now, bottom, you have two choices because you can choose which one you line up straight with. But now, you can either try to draw it or fold it to be on top of. I'm actually going to yank this for a second so my smartboard stops working. So if I fold this now, I can fold it in to match the line of my angle. So see what I've done there? If I make one of my edges on the straight, then I can fold my other edge. If you need help, stick up a hand.
I don't know.
So line up one on the straight edge, right in the corner. Then fold it so it matches the angle right like that. See how it kind of perfectly matches now?
Yeah, I'm using a small one.
Along that line, and this will be angle 1. Now hold up, before you make any cuts, when you unfold this now, the inside part of your angle, write a 1 there. So the inside part of your angle, where 1 is projected on my screen, I'm going to write a 1, and then I'm going to cut along that fold. So if you have your scissors, everyone good for the fold? Anyone need help on the
I tried
fold?
to do a big stick.
Okay, anyone need help on the fold?
I think
Give it a shot. So you want to stick the corner. So guys, if you did not do this, you want to stick the corner of the sticky note, like the sticky corner, in the corner of the angle. I'm going to get you a smaller one. So corner in the corner. Then
Good afternoon, Colin Williams.
draw it.
Abby Eagleman and Katie Hamrick.
So guys, another option,
Colin Williams.
if you can
Abby
see
Eagleman,
through
and
your
Katie Hamrick
Post-it,
to the office,
you
please.
can also
Thank you.
just draw it. So like if we stick this right here, and we can see through that, we can actually just draw the
Like
angle
this,
on top
Mr.
of there, and we don't even have to cut it. So you could draw this as your angle. So really the main point here is to get you to realize how frustrating it is to work without protractors. So now, another option, if you can see, give me your eyes for a second. If you can see through your piece of paper, whatever you're working with, another option that isn't the Post-it and the cut and everything, is if I trace my angle onto another piece of paper or something like that. So I've perfectly matched up my angle 1. I can then go place it on top of angle 2 and compare them. I have to line one of my lines up straight with one of the angle 2 lines. Now what do I see? And if you don't see it on your paper, that's okay. You can look up here. What do I see about angle 2 when I compare that with angle 1? Sebastian?
Angle 2 is more narrow.
Angle 2 fits inside of it, right? It's more narrow. So what we can say about that then, what statement would you make comparing the angle sizes? Which one's bigger? Yeah, so it asks which is greater. So angle 1 is greater. And we found that visually just using paper, pencil. That's it. So that is the symbol. Thank you for asking. I was baiting somebody to ask. This symbol means the size of the angle. So the size of angle 1 is greater. No, that is the angle and then a little arc.
Oh, I see it now. Okay.
So guys, give me your eyes. If you don't know how to make this, make a little angle. Kind of looks like the less than symbol. But the difference is this is supposed to have a flat bottom as opposed to less than does this. So this is our angle symbol. That now means the size of the angle. Oh, so the little arc just means size of the
Do
angle.
you see where I saw a star though?
Yeah, you're fine.
Over it.
So now we zoom into the future and protractors exist. So with our protractors, we can pretty precisely measure angles. Now here's the one issue. Look at your protractor. How many sets of numbers do you have on there?
We have two.
You have 2 sets. Going one direction, you have 0 to 180, and going that same direction, you have 180 to 0. Now when I look at my notes, and I look at how this is lined up, and you might, on your notes, guys, want to highlight where this angle is in here. So it goes here and here. You might want to... Oh, by the way, it's like Christmas.
Christmas. I know.
We got new highlighters. So please make sure that when you use these, you give them back to me.
You'll probably be
I have plenty that everybody can have one, and you can rotate with people around you if you're trying to change colors or whatever. But please make sure I get them back after class. I have not seen anybody else with the same highlighters, so I will know that you've stolen mine if you take them out of my room.
Even if it's on accident, he'll still hurt you.
No, you pull like one
Yeah,
of
I'll
those,
hurt
one of those like airports.
To the extent of
TSA.
you're allowed.
All right, so
You should get one of those.
let's back up a second. Talking about angles. Do you guys know anything about angles?
Yeah.
You probably learned some things from elementary school. Brady, what's one thing you know about angles? So what does it mean to be obtuse?
So this would be obtuse because it's like more wide.
Use some mathy terms.
Oh,
Do you know anything about the numbers that makes it obtuse?
Oh, it's higher than. Yeah, 90.
So, guys, especially Josh, we need to stop talking over each other. We need to give him time to process his thought. Otherwise, it's like theft. Because you just stole his time for thinking. You robbed him. So, obtuse, bigger than 90. Now, with the door open and Mrs. Goldring over there, I would be remiss if I did not tell you, you can also use obtuse as a descriptor word.
Oh, that's mean.
Oh, me?
That's mean.
Yeah? So,
What?
if somebody...
That's not the way you talk to a woman.
What? No, you can use obtuse
Oh,
as a descriptor word. No, so what? So does anyone know what it means to be obtuse? What were you doing that you got called obtuse?
Failing at my discovery department. But she told me what it means. What it means is that I'm trying to remember.
Josh, chill. We're trying to remember what a word means. I don't understand how this is.
You're not very specific.
Yeah, that can kind of be like one meaning of it. So,
Like, you don't do anything specific, like trying to do a lot.
yeah, you're kind of like objecting to what's going on, or you're just not really working well, or like if you have a partner in a group, let's say your digital footprint project, that somebody keeps screwing with your Google Slides instead of actually working productively, you might say, hey, quit being obtuse. You're not helping us. You're being like kind of... Yeah. So like if we told you to do your math homework, you're like, well, I just don't know where to start. Do I get on? Do I use a... So, moving on, obtuse can be used as not only the geometric meaning, it does have a literary meaning. Ellie, what else do you know? Acute's less than 90, whereas obtuse, Brady told us, was more than 90. Ella? Right angles are exactly 90. There's one more type of angle, too. Sebastian, do you know this?
Acute angle.
Ah, they already said it. Make sure you got your ears open. Use your hands. Who said it? Jaheim? Ooh, you're beyond us, actually. You're right, but that's angle pairs. So that would involve two angles. Solomon?
Somebody said that.
Yeah, Saul got it. Straight angle. What's a straight angle measure?
It's like 180.
It's 180. So, here's really the question as we start measuring these angles. How do you choose your number set? Well, I asked you what you know about angles first to make sure that your brain is turned on. I have two options for the size of this angle. It runs, please stop. If you have a question, raise your hand and then wait. This angle runs right through here, but it goes through two different sets of numbers. And if my smartboard was cooperating, this would be working right. My red is not in the right location. So if you look at where your line goes through, I have two different numbers there. I have the number right between 40 and 50, which would be, what's right between 40 and 50? 45, right? I gotta orient this really fast. What's the other number that it goes through? Well, not 100. Well, so make sure you're looking at the line that's up, not the one on the bottom. So yeah, it could be 45 here, or between 130 and 140, 135. Now, if I look at this opening, do we think that's going to be an acute angle or an obtuse angle, Ella?
Yeah.
Where? This?
No, you're
It's not a sign. He was making
Oh,
a
that was when my orientation was all screwed up. It was supposed to be an arrow pointing into right here, but then it did not go where it was supposed to, and then I oriented the board.
Well, I made
So
exactly.
this is just saying, okay, right here, this line goes through 45 or 135. But I have to choose which set of numbers I use. What size of angle is this? Is it acute or obtuse? It's acute. We can see that. So we know that it's got to be this measure. But how we choose that is we look where our line is flat at the bottom. And of course, we can rotate the protractor so we can always make it flat. Wherever my line is flat at the bottom, we look for where we go through 0.
We need the straight edge and you can have a protractor and then you can have make curves.
So where we go through 0, this tells me that this is the set of numbers that I use, and I ignore everything else since that was where I went through my 0. Josh.
Doesn't this kind of have like the deciphering the types of angles it is? Doesn't it somewhat have to do with greater than or equal to or less than or equal to?
Not unless we're comparing the angle sizes.
Like if we were gonna do like so like the acute needs to be
Less than
less
90.
than 90.
I mean, that's where it can relate, yeah. Ella, question, comment?
Oh wait, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't see that. No, I didn't see it.
So, to clarify, especially because of that, this line, my base of my angle, goes through 0 and 180. But when I start counting, I don't start at 180. I start at 0. So where it goes through my 0,
Good afternoon, Brian
that's the
Strickland,
set I
please come
use.
to the office. Brian Strickland to the office, please.
Any other questions remaining? And of course, 135 is ridiculous, so we throw it away. Now, you're going to need to look up here because on your printout, it is not very clear. Angle 1 goes from this ski of his right foot to this ski of his left foot. It is fairly small.
I thought those were his pink things.
Angle 2 goes this back edge. I'm going to change color. It goes the edge of his skis up the slope of his back. So, oh, dude, blue might show. Right here to right here. So it's hard to see on your paper, but angle 1 is this little guy. Angle 2 is this big guy.
Oh, okay.
So here's what we're gonna need to do. You gotta use your protractor now. So I am gonna take a picture, and I am gonna bring my smartboard down and plop it right in here.
I really don't like how it has
So here's your notes, right? I'll make this even bigger. So for angle 1, grab your protractor, and we need to choose a straight line or a flat line or whatever. So the first thing we always do, line up the vertex of the angle with the crosshairs. So if you play a first-person shooter game, you know what crosshairs are?
Yeah, kind
Look at the bottom of your protractor. What's it say? Like, pick it up off the table. What's it say? View through. If you can't read it, it's the wrong direction. Because it's clear. I can flip it around, and then I can't read it. It's like earth with Y. So, make sure you can read it. It says view through. Now, so check this out. I can either make the bottom ski my flat line, and then my protractor is going to kind of be pointed up, or I can flip my protractor around, but that's a little bit harder to use. So let's all make our protractor line up with the left bottom being my 0 line. So I need to rotate my protractor until my 0 lines up with my ski. So now, your 0 on the left-hand side, which 0 is on the left-hand side? The outer or the inner?
Yeah, outer.
Outer, right? So our set of numbers is now the outer. Is it 2 T's in outer? Yeah.
Outer.
Just one? Yeah, I always doubt myself on that for some reason. We don't want to make it like odd.
What's doubting? What's the definition of doubting?
Being uncertain. So we use our outer set. Then, now I get to kind of cheat actually because my protractor is digital.
So it tells you automatically?
Not automatically. I can then lift my line. It'll become a full circle in Smartboard.
What are you trying to do?
Well, this is flipping the wrong side, so I need to place that there.
Some
And
programs
this
actually have it.
right here. So if you look where your lines go through, my degree angle is going to be approximately how big? When you look through, the one line lined up on 0, the other line goes through. Yeah, that's what that says. But really, it's supposed to be 10. It's real small. If anyone's having issues, so everyone line up your protractor so I can come around and make sure we know what we're doing. Line up your protractor.
I got you.
Yeah, so
Okay.
vertex is
Use the outer ring.
So we need to make sure that this middle crosshair, this T at the bottom,
Why
that lines up on the vertex. So that's in the corner. Then I line up the flat bottom, and then I go up the other side.
There we go.
And now they have to take the test on the computer. Yeah, just make sure you're all the way over in the vertex, which is kind of hard to see. This print is too dark, honestly.
Gravity works.
It's better.
Yeah, as long as you're over in the vertex.
Now right on it.
Huh, yeah, if we want a crazy copy build. All of our notes is color. Yeah, that would be a textbook, is what that would be. So, angle 2 should be easier. So let's do angle 2. You want to set your protractor. I need to make another new page. You want to set your protractor on the top so that the 0 goes through the right side now. So first thing, line up your vertex on the bottom crosshairs right here. If you're struggling at all, stick up a hand. On the bottom little T, line that up at the vertex where this like foot is.
Line it up flat.
Yeah, so here I'll drag this back onto the main screen. All I did was line up my vertex right on this point, right here. I can't draw on it because the protractor's on top of it. But kind of hard to read, you're pretty close. Then we, rotate. So rotate to line up one of your lines at 0. Let's make the right side 0 line up. So to do that, I need to turn this one down till the 0 lines up. And now I can raise this all the way up over to the other side. And what that red line arc shows, well, now again I have options. Now do not trust what my screen turns into. If you're looking at my screen, notice how it says 158, and as soon as I let go, it says 17. That's wrong, because it's not thinking. We need to look for where is my 0. If I look over here for my 0, is it the outer or the inner set?
It's the inner.
Inner set, right? My 0 over here is the inner set of numbers. So I follow that set, and where this line goes through, yeah, it's right about 160. So we can say the measure of angle 2 is 160 degrees. Any questions?
So
Yeah.
when you use the inner rim, like this, I call this this inner rim. Do you use that one in obtuse?
No, so which set of numbers we use is all determined by the 0. So let's try another one that is not printed so dark. So go to the got it. We have 2 options for how we actually approach this. I want you to set your protractor on top of this exactly how they have theirs. Going through the 0 on the right hand side, make sure that you can read view through. And on your paper, I want you to notate.
It's like a little off. Well, it's going to be a little off because it's a different size.
AB, which we can notate is a line, or you can notate it's a ray if you want to be really accurate. AB goes through 0. Because AC, my other side, sure does not. Since that line goes through 0, which set of numbers am I going to use here, Casey? Am I using the inner or the outer?
I mean,
Inner, right? Because my 0 is an inner set, so grab your highlighter. We're going to highlight this inner set of numbers because that's where we go through our 0. So how we decide which set of numbers we use? We look for that 0. I do not want highlighter.
Is it okay if this lesson doesn't make as much sense?
I mean, it will here in just like working with protractors is the weird part. Angle identification is only easier to know. So that's the back of the page. Casey?
so can we just do where if it's over 90, use the
If you know that your angle's obtuse, then you know that it has to be over 90. So when you look right up here and you say, okay, which set of these is going to let me be over 90? Is it the 70, 80 or the 100, 110? I mean, yeah, you can figure that out, right? But the other way, like if we're really close, is to just look for where do I go through 0. So yeah, either way works. I mean, if you know about the angle already, you know it's obtuse, you know which number set you kind of are restrained to. So then this angle going through, well, it goes through 75, but that wouldn't make any sense because this we can see is obtuse. So it's not 75, it's between 100 and 110. Always look what it's between. And between 100 and 110
105.
is 105.
That's 105.
Now, we need to talk about how we notate the angle. Because our angles in the last problem were just called angle 1 and angle 2. And now we don't have a number for the angle, but I have letters. The only important thing, because now you have options. It's actually kind of hard to do this wrong. The only important thing is that your vertex point goes in the middle. So I'm going to name this angle CAB. Since A is in the middle, it's got to be in the middle. Or I can name this angle BAC. Is A still in the middle? That's all that matters. So my angle really has 2 names that I can choose whichever one I want. Now, you cannot call this angle ABC because it's not. It doesn't start at A, go through B, and then go to C. It starts at B, goes through A, and goes to C, or vice versa. Starts at C, goes through A, and goes to B. A's got to be in the middle. So then we can notate equals 105 degrees. Question? Yeah. So the protractor's on the computer already. Like it'll show the angle on the protractor, like this does. It'll say what's the measure of the angle, or it'll ask you to identify right, acute, obtuse, straight, all those. So we're about to flip to the back and do some angle identifications. So check out the back. Now I need your guys' help, but for easy reference, we on each of these are going to call these lines A, B, C, D, and E. So we'll just call ray A, ray B, ray C, because they all start from that main point. So,
C has to be in the middle.
yes. And then for this one, it'll be A, B, C, D, E, and then A, B, C, D, E. So,
So So could you do E, D, C, B, A?
Do them in this order.
I know, but
Left to right.
What when we name the angle?
Chill. We're not naming angles right now. We're going to draw examples. So, Atticus, when we talked about straight angles, you remember how big we said straight angles are? It's okay if you don't. Dude, chill. I'm going to talk to him regardless of whether or not he knows that. Because you don't need to know that yet. Close. So, instead of 0 would be where we start. If we flip all the way up around to the other side and we're like pointing directly opposite, what's the other number aside from 0? It's what's right beside 0 on the protractor? Don't stop. Right beside that 0, if you look up, if I slide up, if it's not 0, it's 180. So my straight angle is going to measure 180. So if I use ray A and I go out that direction, what other ray should I use to make a straight angle? Yeah, I got to make it 180, which is going to have to open the entire way around. So we also use ray E. Zion, if I want to make an obtuse angle, and again, I'm calling these A, B, C, D, E. Can you tell me what 2 rays I could use to make an obtuse angle? Which?
Oh, wait.
Give me one to start.
It could be A and D.
So ray A and ray D, that would be an obtuse angle. Can I draw another one up there? Raise your hand if you want to tell me how to do it.
I got it.
Jaheim,
I got it.
what other rays could I use to make it another obtuse angle? Which ones? E. Are you saying boy or dog? B or D? Do you want this ray or that ray? B, because we have to be big. We have to be bigger than 90. So this is also now bigger than 90. So we have 2 different options for how we can draw an obtuse angle there.
I know another one.
Hang on to it.
Oh,
Caleb, if we want to do right angles, again, A, B, C, D, E, what can I use? So if I use C, then what other, so remember my ray names,
I mean A or D.
sorry, C, D, E. A and what? A and E. Ooh, A and E actually are our straight angle.
Oh, C.
So if I use C and E together, that makes a right angle. How do I notate that it's right? Sarah?
Square?
Put a little box in the corner. Put a square. Now, what else you were trying to tell me, Caleb?
C
If I use C and A, those also create a right angle. And my acute is not here, not here. Brady. D and E would be right here and right here, opening up this angle. Ella, is there another way to draw an acute? A and B, right here and right there. This angle would be acute. Katie, is there another? So remember, we just need it to be small, right? What if I do this ray? What other ray could I use? Can I use like this one way over here? Or do I need to go closer? Let's go as close as possible, right? What if I do this one? This will be acute. And then there's one more that we could actually do right here, and right here, and this angle will be acute. So we actually can show 4 different acute angles up there.
No, there's another one.
Okay, so I love that you asked that, but we don't know. So you're looking at this angle, right? We're not certain how big that is. It could potentially be a right angle. So for right now, because we're not certain, I would not assume that.
It's too late.
Bounces. Will not. Okay, stay there. Any questions? I'm going to give you 90 seconds to identify the types of angles all right here. You may abbreviate by just using the first letter if you'd like. R for right, A for acute, O for obtuse. They all have different letters. Yes.
It says roll.
This is so easy.
How many words can you even spell with the angle?
Actually, a lot of, like, there's a lot of test questions where they make the angles like one that I'm sure you guys will find eventually and laugh at is there will probably be an angle at some point named DAB. You're like, oh, it's angle dad. Or there's like
this.
angle.
It's gonna be like this size.
There will be like angle car or angle van or like they use different. They think they're funny.
Angle lit.
Angle. Miss
Miss
Mildred wrote how to make your.
Okay, although we still have time remaining, I feel like most of us have this figured out because we've steered way too far away. Leah, our first angle here is shown. How'd you identify that? That is a right angle. Josh, what's my next one?
It's an obtuse.
It is an obtuse angle. Jaheem, my next one. Do you think it's bigger than the right angle? Reference this. Do you think it's bigger than right angle or smaller than right angle? Let's imagine we made a right angle. If I made that right, made it square, this comes on the inside of it, which means it's smaller, so that would be acute. Because acute means that it is less, like the angle is less than 90. We'll review these as we continue to work through this stuff. Ellie, what about my next one? It is obtuse. Sebastian, my next one?
Right.
Ooh. Now,
Oh, it's slanted.
grab your Post-it or your some kind of piece of paper.
I just saw it. It's just barely.
Some kind of piece of paper.
So bad.
Place your piece of paper right here. Line it up, corner to corner, bottom line on bottom line. What do you notice about the edge of my angle as it goes up the paper? It's just a wee bit into the page, right? So if that starts to come into the page,
It's a cute.
it's acute.
It's a cute angle.
Oh, it's a cute little
Stop. That's what the teachers always do.
Oh, I turned this off.
It's a cute. Obese.
And Sarah, our last angle here. Now, please, Mr. Young, please put a vertex in the middle here. If there's no vertex, it's really just a line. So for this to be an angle, there'd have to be a vertex, and it would have to like open all the way to the 180 degrees. That is exactly how far we made it in the morning class. We will pick up these last 2 problems tomorrow. You should be able to get a good start on your homework for 10-1. Hold up. I have 20 seconds. Your top priority is chapter 9. You need to get that homework done. If your practice work is not done, you will not be taking the mastery on Thursday. Please get that done. Any of the 9 homeworks. Any of it.